Gladiator is the hot new Magic the Gathering format, but of the many hot new formats we've covered on this channel, Gladiator might be the one that has the highest chance of sticking around. As we come up on the format's 1-year anniversary, Gladiator has been growing strong, developing its community on Discord. Wait. Hold up. This format's been around for 1 year already? How could any new format possibly grow in the midst of... Well, the advantage that Gladiator has over Pioneer or Brawl or the other official formats on the decline is that Gladiator is exclusive to Magic Arena. In this video, I'll be showing you how Gladiator works and why you should give it a shot. Gladiator is an unofficial competitive format for Magic Arena. The core rules are simple. Build a 100-card deck that can contain a single copy of any card on Arena. That includes cards from Standard and Historic, as well as cards that would normally be banned in those formats. That's right, you can play Fires of Invention in Gladiator. Your deck must contain a minimum of 100 cards, and every card must be unique, with the exception of basic lands or cards like Rat Colony that specify their own deck building rules. Games are played best of 3 with a starting life total of 20, and there are no sideboards, not even a wish board for cards like Fae of Wishes. Lastly, and perhaps most excitingly, there are no companions. You can include them in the 100, but you can't start with one outside the game. Because Gladiator is not an official format, there aren't yet ranked queues or special events on Arena that let you play. To play, you'll need to use the Direct Challenge feature. Later on, I'll talk about how you set that up, and ways you can find opponents for Gladiator. But before that, let's talk about how Gladiator came to be. I sat down with one of the foremost Gladiator creators, Benjamin Wheeler, to discuss the format's origins.
My name is Benjamin Wheeler. I'm a partnered Twitch streamer, as well as the Paul Rudd of Loading Ready Run, and I am the progenitor / poster boy for Gladiator.
The origins of Gladiator can be found at the very start of the pandemic, when paper magic was no longer an option, and more players were turning to playing online.
And one of the formats that we would play in paper was Canadian Highlander, so another 100-card singleton format. We tried to experiment with playing it on Magic Online, but not everybody is familiar with, decrypting Magic Online, basically. And it felt like there might be a lot of other people out there that don't exactly have the tools to have that experience of playing their favorite, 100-card singleton fan format.
Now, Gladiator is nowhere near the power level of Canadian Highlander, which is only one rung below Vintage. But in trying to create a competitive singleton format on Arena, Wheeler and his team didn't want to merely replicate that experience.
While it draws from the DNA of all these singleton fan-driven formats, it is really just about trying to package that in the most accessible way possible.
Most of that accessibility comes from Arena's free-to-play model, and the fact that anyone can create an account and start playing. However, as we've discussed before, Magic Arena's economy is not the most generous when it comes to building decks. Luckily, the singleton nature of Gladiator means that even players who haven't yet built up a collection on Arena can get involved.
Not only is it easy to just get into, but the actual building of the deck will be a lot easier, even for free-to-play participants. You look at decks and you look at the wild card count and you're like, okay, well that seems doable, but maybe I might be missing a couple of things. Then you realize I have one of every shock land because Arena gives them to you. I have one of every checked land because Arena gives them to you. So there are all these little things that are given to basically every account that sits down, goes through the tutorial and the beginning color challenges, and sets you off on your merry way.
So by now, hopefully it's clear that if you want to play Gladiator, you can. But you might be wondering what sets this format apart from Historic, Brawl, or even Commander. There are, after all, only so many hours in a day. Why should you spend yours playing Gladiator. Singleton formats are already very popular, with Commander currently reigning as the most played constructed format. A lot of what people enjoy about Commander is the chance to include pet cards that wouldn't have a home in competitive formats. But while it remains very popular, Commander's enormous card pool means playgroups and the wider community need to have complex conversations about how to keep the casual format fun. Gladiator's card pool is a fraction of the size, but is a firmly competitive format that retains the fun factor of Singleton.
Because you only have one copy of all these cards, you need redundancy of a lot of effects, a lot of points on like the mana curve, and so you kind of have to get a little bit creative with what you're using, and you get to showcase cards that don't really have a home.
Decks in Gladiator can vary hugely, with no established meta beyond the close-knit community that regularly meet to play online, compared to the massive tournaments for the major formats, where money on the line means the meta needs to be solved within weeks of a new release. Gladiator players get the opportunity to experiment and react to one another. But if you've ever tried out a fan format before, you'll know that often the promise of play any card you want isn't always all it's cracked up to be. Too often the cards that people are actually excited about are no match for the most playable effects, normally the expensive rares and mythics.
But Gladiator is honestly closer to a legitimate, truthful statement like that than any other format. And I think part of that comes from, again, kind of like how messed up a lot of Magic cards have been in the past couple of years, right? So you can get a little goofy with what you're doing, and you still have the tools to combat, the big boys, because everything is so pushed, including, more niche strategies.
So what can you actually play in Gladiator? Ben says that aggressive and mid-range decks always do quite well, because you're rewarded for curving out. But with 100 card slots to fill, you have a lot of options.
You have omniscience-based combo decks. You have decks that use Demon Lord Belzenlock and 0 cards under 4 converted mana cost that the community calls cow tech because it plays bartered cow. You have very straightforward control decks with a little twist on it because you have to win the game the old-fashioned way with a Baneslayer Angel, You have prowessy kind of spell-based aggressive decks looking to attack with a massive Kiln Fiend or Enigma Drake. Bunch of ramp decks, bunch of, Craterhoof Behemoth exists. There are even tribal decks, legitimate tribal decks, goblins or clerics or vampires. Even merfolk.
There's merfolk in this format. Sign me up. So that's what you can play, but what can't you play? Gladiator's ban list started out as just one card, Oko, Thief of Crowns. And while that pesky planeswalker has remained banned, he's been joined by a few other format dominators over the months. The ban list of Gladiator at time of recording consists of Oko, Field of the Dead, Nexus of Fate, Nissa, who shakes the world, and Teferi Time Raveler. That might seem small, especially compared to the historic ban list, but according to Wheeler, cards like Once Upon a Time and even Euro don't present a significant challenge to the Gladiator meta. Unlike Standard, you're much less likely to draw into those early ramp cards at the start of the game, and it becomes a less reliable game winner. Also keep in mind that while cards like Lurrus and Fae of Wishes aren't technically banned, there are no sideboards or companions, so those effects won't necessarily do what you expect. Again, that helps keep the redundancy of the format relevant. If you can always find what you need in your sideboard, there's not much point to having 100 cards. So you've picked a deck and you're ready to play, but how do you actually find a game? The best place to find an opponent for Gladiator is the official Discord server. I'll provide a link to that in this video's description. Most players on the server have their arena display name as their Discord nickname, so you can easily add someone to your friends list. On the server, you'll find a channel called Looking for Games. All you need to do is post in there, and someone will respond. If someone immediately before you has posted, then you can just reply to them. Either way, you add that person to your arena friends and start up a direct challenge. Make sure you set the format to best of 3 and the starting player to coin flip. If you have any questions, you can always post in that same channel, and a helpful Gladiator community member will get you playing in no time. Once you have a few games under your belt, you might feel the urge for a more competitive experience. For that, you can check out the League Help and Frequently Asked Questions to join the monthly Gladiator Leagues, in which each player plays 5 matches with the same deck list. The leagues are free and casual, but allow players to look back and see which decks have performed the best. There are also regular tournaments and much more besides. Again, check out the Discord for more information. In particular, every new set release is accompanied by the Gladiator Games, a huge tournament that regularly pulls in over 150 players, as well as official prize support from Wizards of the Coast. With such an active community, the future looks bright for Gladiator. I hope very much this video has been of some help to you, and I hope very much that you leave this video wanting to brew some Gladiator on Arena. Special thanks to Benjamin Wheeler for acting as our Gladiator ambassador for this video. Check out Wheeler on Twitch at Benjamin_Wheeler. Links in this video's description, and thanks also to this video's writer and editor, Patrick Lickman. And if you liked this video, why not send it to a Magic playing friend to convince them to give the format a try.